When entering the portal, as long as there was one on the other end, it would throw you somewhere within a 1-mile radius of another, as long as there was already a portal set up on the other end. The reason why the group were holding hands is to ensure that they would all be teleported to the same place. Unlike when Quinn and Vorden entered the teleporter one by one, they were chucked to different locations. On Dell's back was a fairly large rucksack that looked quite heavy. As he walked with the group, his footsteps stomped the ground and his back was arched. "Why do I have to carry this thing?" Dell complained. "Right now you're the weakest of us four, right?" Faye replied. "So if you want us to protect you, it's best that you carry the portable teleporter." Dell then looked at Haley, who was by his side, and even he had to admit she looked quite frightening for a doctor. She was in a full set of large beast gear, a frightening-looking chest piece that looked to have a face on it and spikes sticking out of the shoulder pads. On her back, she was carrying a large single greatsword that was nearly the same size as herself. She almost looked like a professional traveler that went hunting in these types of places all the time. Rich people, that's what happens when your father is a general in the army, Dell thought. Fine, I understand that, but why even the need to bring the portable teleporter in the first place? Isn't the teleporter fine on this end? Dell asked. It's back up, Leo said. Look around you and look at this shelter. It was basically the size of a city. Don't you think they had people protecting it as strong as us? We might encounter a strong beast and have to make an emergency exit, or there might even be a beast blocking the current portal. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Okay, with that being said and done, let's head for the training center. I don't want to stay on this planet for long, and I don't want to find out what destroyed this shelter. Leo walked up front, and using his ability, the group were able to avoid trouble. In a way, although blind, his sight was better than the others. His ability allowed him to see an aura around things and see them in different colors. A beast's aura was always red, while humans' yellow. It also allowed him to see the aura through most objects, such as building walls and so on, allowing them to avoid any confrontation with beasts. However, if the group saw only a few Rataclaw that they could deal with, instead of taking the long route around, Leo and Faye would often head out and deal with them quickly. The two of them were both swordsmen. While Faye would use her longsword, Leo would use his katana blade, not even giving the rats a chance to live. As they continued to walk, Haley had a question on her mind after seeing the two of them deal with the rats. I've always wondered, which of you two are stronger? Haley asked. The two up front suddenly froze, and Dell looked at Haley like she had no sense of personal questions. Hey, you can't just ask something like that, Dell whispered. Of course he was interested. Everyone was. These types of questions come up all the time. Faye and Leo were both of the same ranks, 2 of the 8 sergeants at the school. Talk always happened between the other teachers and soldiers about who was the strongest out of them all. This also happened regularly with the 3 generals. It's okay, Faye said. I can easily answer for you. It's Leo. I don't know if you two know this, but we had to practically beg him to join our ranks after the First War. Back then he was only a private, but he had made so many accomplishments. It was unbelievable. He had one condition when joining the army. I would like to become a teacher. Leo didn't say anything after that, in fact. He never spoke much in the first place, but Dell was still wondering how it was possible. Leo's ability was handy, sure, and it might be a high-level ability, but that was only because it required a high amount of MC to use, not because it was powerful. While Faye had the ability of super speed, if the two of them fought, there was no way he could see her losing. In the end, Dell thought she must have just said that to be kind to her senior. Faye was still quite young, after all, only in her late 20s. Finally, the group had arrived just outside the training center. We'll make sure the portal is safe first, and then after we will go out looking for the kids, Faye said. The entrance looks clear, said Leo. They walked onward and eventually saw the dead Rataclaws just outside of the entrance. Not only that, but the entrance to the place was completely busted. It had been bent and mismangled, but was still covering the door. Faye went to the access machine and tried the code. The sound went off, indicating that it was unlocked, but the doors wouldn't move. They were too damaged. What happened here? Haley asked. Do you think it was the kids? I think you mean kid, Dell added. Only one of them has an ability, remember? Ah, Vorden is the original, correct. His ability is to copy that of others. Although we don't really know how it works, it could be possible. If he copied a strong ability, then I could see him being able to kill these rats, said Faye. Well, if we find Vorden, we can go home, right? Dell asked. Are you suggesting we leave and not bother looking for the other one? Leo asked. The mission stated to only find Vorden. Anyone else is considered a bonus. Would you risk your lives for one student? When I joined that war, what do you think I was doing? Leo asked. I was risking my life for the sake of everyone, for the sake of the human race's future, and you know what? That is these children. Enough, you two, Faye snapped. Technically, Del is correct, but I see you are passionate about this. We will scout the nearby area using your ability. If we find nothing, then we leave. Fair? Leo didn't say much and started to walk up to the door. He drew out his katana blade and readied himself. Isn't that door made out of glathrium? It's one of the hardest materials we know of. It's why this training center remained unharmed in the first place, Del said, chuckling at the idiotic attempt Leo was about to make. I'm assuming you wanted to know why Leo is stronger than I am? Faye asked. Leo slashed the door with one swing. No sound was made, and it seemed like the door wasn't even touched. Then, a few seconds later, a vertical slash was seen in the door, and the top half fell backwards onto the floor. That's why, said Faye. After entering through the glathrium door, the group then went to lift the fallen part of the door up and place it back up. It was heavy, but with Haley's help, the door felt extremely light, and they managed to set it perfectly like a jigsaw puzzle. While it might not keep the beast out at least, it would deter them from entering. Del, watching the whole thing, hated to think just how high a level of beast equipment Haley was wearing to be able to lift the door so easily. They continued to walk in the hallway, which was covered in darkness, although for Leo, leading the way, it made no difference. But while walking, Del couldn't get out of his head how easily Leo was able to break the door. It wasn't like Del was a student. He was a professor, too. He had participated in the war back then as well, and never saw anything like what he saw today. Could it be a demon-level weapon? He thought. But he quickly came to the conclusion that it was impossible. At the moment, there were only 2 demon-level beast weapons in existence. However, it was clear to Del that what Leo was using was at least a top-level beast-tier weapon. They had entered the reception area, where several doorways were leading to different sections of the training center. At the front, there was the reception desk with 2 hallways leading to the arena. Then there was the actual reception room, which could also lead you to the canteen and the living quarters. Wait, stop, Haley said to Leo and Faye up front. She bent down and studied the ground. Can you see what this is? It's blood and leading that way, she said as she pointed to the living quarters. How can you tell which direction it's coming from the stadium as well? Del asked. Well, the blood tail, you can see that it's heading in the direction, and there's a lot of it, almost as if someone was dragged this way. Come on, let's hurry. It could be one of the students, Faye said. They made sure not to rush, but quickly headed in the direction of the blood following the trail. If there was a beast inside, they needed to make sure they wouldn't startle it. Leo also no longer took the lead, and instead it was Faye. Usually, Leo's ability would allow him to detect auras and abilities through walls and such, but it didn't work through glathrium, and the whole place was made of it. Although he could still direct himself, he couldn't tell if there was danger up ahead until actually seeing it. They followed the trail until finally it led them to the hallway with a broken door outside and a ripped-apart chair. Faye peeked her head into the room with the broken door and immediately turned away. Haley, I think you better take a look at this, Faye said, turning her head away. Haley took over and went inside the room, while Del also took a look and turned his head away. Did you see the body? Del said. Its body was ripped in half, guts spilling everywhere. Leo, who was standing next to him, turned his head and looked him in the eye. No, I didn't see anything. I haven't done so in a while now. Haley continued to examine the body. She went around the man's neck. Underneath his beast armor, she pulled out a colored dog tag. Again, 2 bite marks on the neck, just like the other students, Haley thought. Is there really a beast inside the academy somewhere? The same thing that killed this man? Or is it something else? Haley then stood up from the body and walked forward. Do you want the good news or bad news? She said. Just tell us everything, Faye replied. Well, the good news is it's not one of the students. Haley then pulled out the tag, which was attached to a chain, and dangled it in front of the others. The bad news is he was from one of the big 4 families. Each person's face dropped as soon as they heard the news. Which one? Faye asked. The tag says Truedream. Faye immediately slammed her fist against the wall as she heard those words. Why them out of all the families? The big 4 families were the ones who had the power to rival the military. However, the Truedream family was the most unique out of the 4. They had the closest connection with the military, enough even to have a seat at the council table. This was all because of the head of the family, who had the ability to steal others' abilities. If anyone ever tried to rebel against the army, then they would get a visit from the Truedream leader, and they could never use their ability again. The only problem was, Truedream could only take away their abilities but not use them. So he needed a strong ally, and that's why he got close to the military. Then, when he felt safe and protected, he started to gather his own men, the abilities he had taken. He would gift to those he trusted, and they were truly grateful to him. But there was always this fear in the back of his mind he could be betrayed by his own. With no powers for himself, he chose to stay by the military side. This fear kept people in line. This fear was what made people complacent with the system the military had today. Although many didn't agree with the cruel ways and the carrot and stick approach the current army had, they had no choice. We can leave him here for now, but it's best before we leave we bring his body and take it to the Truedream family. It's a pain, but they should be thankful we brought back one of their own, Faye said. After leaving the body be, they decided to follow the trail of blood back outside and into the stadium. And that's when they spotted the two kids lying down on the floor. "They're here! What luck!" Dell said as he ran forward. Haley, Faye, and Dell immediately went forward, while Leo was the only one who stayed back. For in the center of the arena, he could see a color of aura he had never seen before, one which was purple.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.